And then Dr. Cartwright, whenever you're ready, you can start the presentation.
Okay. Looks like we're recording. Okay, so welcome to the pre-meeting and judge training for the GolfBowl Senior Division competition as part of our RoboFest Online World Championships. Basically, first thing we'll do is we'll kind of try and go through all the slides and get all the information out to you. Then basically after we finish the presentation, there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions. Okay. So in this pre-meeting and dry run, again, one thing we want to emphasize is that, again, we ask that you please take the appropriate precautions regarding mask and social distancing during all activities associated with the RoboFest Online World Championships. Team coaches and local judges, again, are required to attend a pre-meeting dry run, which again, this is what you're doing right now. And it's before the competition day. We're going to check Zoom setup, practice the use of Zoom webinar, pre-check the playing field setup, and training local judges today. And again, if you know any other senior teams who are not available to meet right now, there is a makeup meeting this evening, Thursday, October 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This pre-meeting again is essential to making sure that everyone is ready for our first online world championship. How to manage, judge, and decide winners. Again, each team needs a team ID sign that should be printed out. The team and robot introduction time before unveiling the challenges will be used to determine special awards that are decided by RoboFest office staff. It's important, again, that you check the playing field setup before the official runs. Each location must have location judges to proctor and prevent unauthorized activities. And we'll talk more about that in some next slides. All teams will be running at the same time, so there'll be no need for an impound area for the robots. Translators are allowed where needed, and RoboFest reserves the right to make judgments and score adjustments based on review of team submissions. So again, each location judge will be submitting a video, which we'll use for the final scores. Qualification and roles of location judges for the game. Location judges, again, must complete and sign the pre-event checklist. And they must then show it completed during check-in, and it should also be submitted with the official scores. Location judges must sign a pledge document and recite the pledge during the opening ceremony. Again, ideally, the location judge would be a person who does not have any direct relation to the team and is approved by the national director. Again, obviously, we realize under the pandemic conditions that may not be possible in all cases. But again, we do want the local location judges to be fair and impartial. The location judges must attend Zoom training. Location judges are to proctor and prevent unauthorized activities. The location judge will score each round and submit the scores. Location judges are responsible for capturing a video of each run for score verification and uploading it to our shared folder. There's a link that you'll see at the end of the presentation, and I believe Shannon has already sent this link out to location judges, and you'll also receive a follow-up email just in case you missed the initial email with that link. So you should already have it, location judges. It's important that the videos show our identifiable Zoom sound in the beginning and the end of the run. And again, for us to verify whether the video was taken during the official time. Again, we ask that you upload the videos within 1 hour of the end of the competition, or at least make the attempt to upload it. We understand, again, sometimes these are very large files. It may take slightly longer than that in some cases. But again, if you just have any issues with uploading them, please just let us know, so that way we know that you do at least intend to send it if you don't send it within exactly 1 hour. Okay. So again here, location judges, you should have, I think, already received this checklist, or it's available on our website. And again, it's important that you print out this checklist. Again, there's certain things that you need to do prior to the event, and then certain things that you should do prior to check-in on the event day. And once you've checked off all those items, again, you should sign that checklist. And then we have a video that kind of goes over that. So I'll play our video next.
Chris, I don't think we hear the sound.
Oh, sorry. Wait, sorry. Sorry about that. I need to adjust my sound settings. I'll try and replay it with the sound.
Next, we're calling up team 3004-8. Daniel Oliver is the location head judge. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
We're going to check you in. So at first, I'd like to ask to see your checklist. Make sure everything on that checklist is checked. All the boxes are checked and it's signed at the bottom. Excellent. And then we're going to look for, do you have the ball markers and your score sheet? Ball markers, 2 score sheets, 1 for each round. Hopefully, if you need an extra one, we'll be all set with that. And then we're also, are you going to use the proctor form and the jig? The ball marker jig is optional.
Got the proctor form.
Proctor
here,
form, great.
And the jig.
Okay. And then you've got the ball placement jig as well.
Yep.
Okay, great. And then the next item is the recording device.
Got my phone.
Use your phone, wonderful. And then do you have a scale nearby?
Yes.
Okay, we may
A
ask you to
scale.
spot check some of the weights of the bottles, and you also have a measuring tape. Excellent. And then number 6, I want you to practice the raise hand function. We're going to use that throughout the day to make sure everybody's ready for the next step. You go into
Okay.
your panelists and select raise hand. And I
Okay.
can see that you have raised your hand. You may lower your hand. Excellent. And then let's take a look at your game field and your pit area. Check your camera angle. So if you need to move your camera around a little bit and move it up, that's great. Okay.
There we go.
There you go. That's perfect. All right. So the team is ready to do their introduction when they're called after the opening ceremony.
Yep.
Okay. You are all set. Thank you so much. I'm going to rename your team with an asterisk to indicate that you are checked in. You can hang out until opening ceremonies and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
And screen share. Wait, there. Sorry, I was clicking on the wrong things. Wait, so hopefully getting. Controls. Sharing the screen. Wait, hopefully can everyone see the presentation again?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so again, all location head judges, again, you should have been given these, or all location judges, you should have been given the status as a Zoom webinar panelist. Again, you should have already received an email from RoFest coordinator, again, from noreply@zoom.us. It's important, again, that each judge uses the unique link provided in the email to join the Zoom webinar as a panelist. Again, each judge has their own link. The Zoom webinar is slightly different than the normal Zoom meeting, which is the format we're using right now. So we'll explain again how some of those things work slightly differently later on in this presentation. But again, the email should look something like that down there. And again, each judge will need to click their own link to join. Okay, here's at least the judging concept for the game competition. So again, basically each team will be at a separate location. That's actually very important. So again, that we don't have any like feedback. So again, if you do have teams in multiple locations, they should be in like different rooms or separated so that we don't get like microphones picking up multiple sound sources. Otherwise that can create feedback. Then each location should have basically 3 judges, 1 head judge and 2 assistant judges. We'll explain their roles in a later slide. And then basically what will happen on game day is, again, the RoboFest office will send unknown tasks and factors via Zoom to the judges. We'll also email those factors as well as a backup. And then the judges then, once they, of course, they view the round 1, round 2, the judges will then upload the scores and video links to a Google Drive. And again, that link should have already been provided. And we'll also, again, illustrate that link at the end of this presentation. And again, each team has its own collection of judges. Then for the setup, again, for the ideal location setup, again, first of all, at least for parents and coaches, again, we encourage you to leave the location or at least leave the competition area. Again, let's maybe go to a different room or something. We encourage parents and coaches to join the webinar as spectators, or they can also watch the live stream on Facebook Live, again, outside the location. Then again, in the competition area, it's important that basically every location have 2 devices with a microphone and camera available. So there'll be 1 location head judge, again, who will be logged into Zoom with 1 device. There'll be another location judge with a 2nd device for the video recording. And then we recommend that you also have 2 location judges, again, so they can both keep their eyes and make sure they agree on what happens during the run, so they can agree on the scoring. Then for the setup for the camera, sorry, I'll try not to go too far, but at least if you see here on the bottom of the slide, again, the camera should be positioned with the playing field in front of it. And remember, the bottles should be on the right. And then we recommend that the team table then be set up behind the playing field, and hopefully with enough space between the playing field and the team table that team members can come in front of the team table for their introductions. But again, please try and set up your camera so both the team table and the playing field are visible through that camera. Okay, next, again, going over the playing field setup. So again, right, we recommend the setup, again, right, the camera, bottles on the right of the table, team table behind them. Again, there's a common camera view illustrated over here, right? So we have the playing field, the team table, and remember, there should be a team sign visible. This team actually has 2 signs, one by the playing field and one by their team table. Yep. And I think actually I just said what's in the bottom there in that text there, but okay. So again, this is a feature that's available during the webinar. So I think we won't be able to test this today, but we'll test this during check-in on, I guess, our competitions on Saturday. But just going over what you should expect on using the raise hand function. Again, it's available on the Zoom webinar. And basically, we're going to use this as a way for judges to communicate with the RoboFest staff. Again, judges will ask you to use your raise hand site basically to indicate that your site is ready. So for instance, like once we unveil all the unknown factors, and I'll probably ask you to all to raise your hands to indicate that we're ready to start the practice. Or for instance, like before round 1, round 2, again, to make sure that everyone's going to start at the same time. And of course, like all the fields are set up with the appropriate unknown factors that's for seniors that aren't unveiled. Again, we'll actually coordinate things by using the raise hand. And Robo staff will be looking for all sites to have a raised hand before we start a round. And again, if you do raise your hand, but then an unexpected issue comes up, make sure you then lower your hand. So again, if there's an issue before any of the start signals, please make sure you lower your hand. And when you're in the Zoom webinar, you can basically find that, I think, if you click under participants, and then that will open up a little participants window like this. Again, when you're in the webinar, you can do this on Saturday. And then in the bottom right corner of that participant window, there's a little button you can click to raise your hand. But we'll practice that on Saturday during check-in time. Okay, so it's next part. Again, just the important information about the game that judges will need to know for our training. So again, the mission is to develop an autonomous robot that puts 5 golf balls into a hole slot with a wood piece attached to the robot. Again, teams can also earn points if bottles on the floor are knocked, bowled over, or moved. There's a bottle on the table that will actually have penalty points given if it is knocked over or moved. So it's only the bottles off the floor that earn points. At the World Championship, it's possible that additional unknown tasks may be added. Okay, so again, here's an illustration of the playing field setup. So again, there are 5 golf balls numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Notice there are 2 orange balls and 3 white balls. Again, all the judges should have received, or at least you can find on our website, the template for making the hole slot. This is bottle. I think actually we'll talk about the bottles, I think, in the next slide, but 4 bottles off the table, receive points. The ball on the table gets penalty points if it's moved or knocked over. The robot needs to start somewhere in the start zone, which is everything to the left of this first black line. Then basically the robot can also go between the 2 black lines. The second black line separates where the robot can go and to what's called the no robot zone over here on the right. And at least for the no robot zone, it's okay for the robot to like have a sensor hovering over the zone, but any part of the robot that's touching the surface of the table cannot cross the second black line. And the black line is safe. So your playing field should be set up like that for our game competition. And again, here's descriptions of what will need to be set up. Again, hopefully, again, teams will be using a table they've always practiced on. So for instance, the black line should already be in place, but we have those dimensions A and B for where those black lines should be. And again, I think we recommend, of course, that you tape. Actually, we'll talk about that in this next slide, I think, but at least right, the center bottle number 5 is the one on the table. Hole slot should be centered with the table. Ball number 4, again, in general, is always going to be in the same location, so that will never have to be moved. You'll always set that up in the same place. And again, that distance F is 30 centimeters. Then C is another distance that's always going to be constant. So basically, again, all the balls on this line will be 13 centimeters away from the edge of the table, and balls 1 and 3 will be 13 centimeters away from the edge of the table. Notice balls, the orange balls 2 and 5 for seniors are not going to be unveiled during the work time. So their location will be completely unknown. But again, at least the distance like G from the edge of the table is between 20 and 40 centimeters. The distance E from that top edge of the table for ball 2 is between 30 and 45 centimeters. And the D, E, and G values will be different from each round. Sorry, I almost forgot D. D is the distance, again, for this line of balls from the black line separating right where the robot can go from the no robot zone. So again, when you have initially, the D can be any value for practice. D will be unveiled before the work time. So again, it'll be important, at least before teams start practicing, that we'll give you time to set up D in that. So at least the teams will know at least how far back these balls are, but they will not know the locations of balls 2 and 5 for senior. And again, if you have them, we recommend using hole reinforcement placement stickers used to mark the ball placement, or you can just use tape, again, whatever works for your site. And of course, location judges will receive these setup documents. Next thing we'd like to go over is we've created a ball location jig that's optional. Again, you can use it if you find it to be helpful. And I have a little video, and hopefully this time I'll try and check and make sure I've got the sound. Okay, looks like hopefully we'll get the sound this time, but on the first try.
Using the GolfBowl ball locator jig. For ball 5, align the edge of the template with the edge of the table as shown. Use a measuring device to position the edge marked 13 cm with the G dimension that is desired. In this example, we're using 40 centimeters. Place the sticker in the corner cutout. For ball 1, align the edge of the template with the edge of the table as shown. Align the mark with the desired D dimension with the near edge of the tape. Place the sticker in the corner cutout. Ball 3 is similar to ball 1, except use the other side of the locator jig. The jig can also be used for ball 2. Align the desired D dimension with the near edge of the tape. Then use a measuring device to position the edge with the E dimension Place the sticker in the corner cutout.
Okay. So hopefully everyone can see the presentation again, as long as I clicked on the right thing this time. Again, main thing I'd like to emphasize, again, this ball location jig is optional. It's important, of course, when you print it out, that you make sure you print everything out with the actual dimensions. And the main thing I think, or there's two main things that'll be helpful for. One is that 13 centimeter distance is a very constant distance, right, for all the balls. So again, the jig, I think, will be very helpful for that 13 centimeter distance. Hopefully you notice in those pictures, in addition to this jig, you'll certainly need at least one measuring device. If you choose not to use the jig, then you might need two measuring devices. You'll need at least one measuring device that's long, and I think can go at least up to 45 centimeters would be the maximum dimension. Again, this jig will be, I think, primarily helpful for, again, setting the D value, which could be between 3 and 15. Right. Oops, sorry, I guess now I'm in presentation mode again. Okay, so again, the game synopsis, again, distinction between different things. Okay, so the white balls, balls 1, 3, and 4 cannot be moved before putting. The orange balls, balls 2 and 5, may be moved by the robot before putting. Again, this year, only one full reset of the playing field is allowed. Again, it's optional. Teams don't have to take the full reset, but they are allowed a maximum of one full reset. Again, all the tasks must be done autonomously without any external help. The robot may attempt or complete the putting in any order. The unknown task and factors, again, will be unveiled just before the 30-minute work time. At what will be unveiled will be the starting location and orientation of the robot, the locations of the balls, or at least the delocation of the balls, and how to end the game. So, and it's possible that new items or landmarks may be added on the table for the game-ending task. And the game-ending task must be done at the end of the round, but again, all the other tasks may be completed in any order, but the game-ending task should be done last. Okay, and we'll give you a sample of the unknown tasks and factors a little bit later. Next, though, how the bottles will be prepared and located. Again, there's a template that you should have printed out, or hopefully again, the team's already been practicing with one. It's already printed out, but you'll need to check this. Again, on the table where ball number 5 will go, again, we recommend that you tape that using double-sided tape. Again, then on the floor, basically, of course, this template should be lined up with the center of the table, and the center of the hole slot, again, should be lined up with the center of this ball number 5 template. Again, also lined up with the center of that table, so that everything is centered. Again, the exact locations of the balls, again, are defined on these papers with the same templates for junior and senior. The size, shape, and brand will be the same for all 5 water balls in the playing field. So again, each site may have different water balls compared to a different site, but at least at each site they should have the same type of water ball. And this picture here on the right shows the initial setup of water bottles. The balls off of the table on the floor, bottles 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be partially full, around 75 grams. Bottle number 5, which remember is a penalty if knocked over or moved, should be heavier and it should be full, and its weight should be around 524 grams. And again, the actual bottles to be used can be unveiled on the competition day. And again, we may check the weight of those bottles as a spot check during check-in. Again, we'd like at least those probably to be accurate, at least to with plus or minus 1 gram. During the run, one of the primary things that judges will be responsible for doing is watching for violations, and if a full reset is requested, resetting the playing field. So again, when any of the following violations occur, judges shall stop the game to avoid basically further disruption. And these are the 3 types of violations. So again, if a human touches the robot or playing field materials, again, basically once the robot starts moving, the player cannot touch it. So for instance, if the player presses the wrong button and the robot doesn't start, they're allowed to touch it again to make sure the robot starts. But once the robot starts moving, then no touch of the robot is allowed, or else that would be a touch violation. If the robot falls off the table, that would be another form of violation. And the third form of violation is if the robot invades the no robot zone. That would be if any part of the robot touches the no robot zone table surface. On the black line is okay, and it's okay for a part of the robot to hang over the zone. It just, a part of the robot cannot touch the no robot zone table surface. The team can request a one-time full reset with penalty points at any time, or they can declare the end of the game if they choose not to elect a reset. If the reset is selected, time continues to run, and the judges must reset, basically all of the bottles and all of the balls. Bottles moved or knocked over by violations are not counted. Bottles will be reset again if a violation occurs. If a ball goes into the hole slot by the above violations, it will not be counted, and judges will remove it. So again, basically, you cannot earn any points due to a violation. Okay, the other main thing that judges will need to watch for during the 2 minutes run is if there is an invalid putt. And it's only basically important if the putt is invalid and the ball goes into the hole slot. So when a ball goes into the hole slot as a result of the following actions, judges shall announce invalid ball number, and the ball remains in the slot, and it's recorded as an invalid ball on the scoring sheet. So these are basically the 3 ways that a putt can be invalid. Basically, if any ball goes into the hole slot pushed or touched by a robot body or part, not by the wooden putter. If a white ball is putted after moving, again, remember white balls must be putted from their original location. And if a white ball is hit more than 1 time by the wooden putter. So the main thing I guess we want to emphasize, at least for a putt to be valid, is that basically the ball must be struck by the wooden putter. Orange balls don't need to be struck cleanly, but basically at least it needs to be a strike of the wood putter that's the final contact before the ball goes to the hole slot to be considered valid. And basically white balls basically must be putted cleanly with 1 stroke of the wooden putter. Bottles moved or knocked over by invalid putting, not by violation, are okay, and they're counted as they are. So again, you don't need to worry about bottles, whether or not the putt was valid or invalid, just making sure that it wasn't a violation. And similar thing for balls that move off the table. If a ball moves off the table and not going into the hole slot as a result of invalid putting, then they still will receive the balls removed from table points. Okay, next we have at least a sample of an unknown task factor sheet from seniors. Again, basically before the work time, we'll unveil the starting location. Again, certain, at least the D dimension for the ball locations and the orientation of the robot. So for instance, in this sample one here, in the start zone, again, we may ask, for instance, that the robot start 5 centimeters away from that bottom left corner, and both from the left side and the bottom. And the robot will be required to have a front label on it. And in this case here, the front label should be pointing down. If this were just a sample starting location and orientation. Again, before the practice, we'll unveil D. So for instance, D might be 13 centimeters. So that will be a known factor. Again, we'll set up that factor there before teams practice. Keep in mind for senior teams, we do not unveil E or G, which give the location of the orange balls 2 and 5. Those are never unveiled for seniors. So those will be completely unknown when the seniors do. And those can, of course, be different for both rounds 1 and round 2. And D also, of course, can be different from round 1 and 2. Finally, on the unknown task factor sheet, we'll unveil the game-ending task. And again, students will have 30 minutes to work on the robots and either the programming or the design modifications of the robots. For instance, a sample game-ending task is that the robot detect the no robot zone line and stop there. And for instance, we might require that the robot be stopped with a sensor positioned above that line. And of course, it'd be important, right, that the robot not enter the no robot zone to complete that task. Okay, next we'll look at the score sheet. So this first slide is the top of the score sheet. Again, this can be found on our RoboFest website. Again, keep in mind, in general, other than checking for violations or watching to see if balls were putted validly or invalidly, basically all this is done after the 2 minutes or once the round has ended if they end the round early. So for each ball individually, you'll check to see if it was completely knocked over. Hopefully that'll be the most obvious case. Or if the bottle is not completely knocked over, check and see, was it moved outside the solid circle line? And basically it'll get more points if it's completely knocked over, fewer points if it's outside the circle line. Notice bottles 1 and 4, which I think are closer to the edge. Yep. Or they're further away from the hole slot, get fewest points. The bottles 2 and 3 closest to the hole slot will get more points. You check each bottle individually. Bottles 1 through 4 earn the team points. Make sure you circle the point value. And again, of course, or you can just, I guess, if it's not knocked over, or just write a 0, of course, if neither happens. And then bottle number 5, remember, actually gets penalty points. So if bottle 5 is either completely knocked over or moved outside the solid circle line, that will be a 2-point penalty. Then after you check the bottles, and again, we will ask that you basically, once you finish the round, that you zoom in so you can show us how you determined whether or not these bottles were moved or not. And that will be maybe the main tricky thing, determining whether or not bottles are moved. And we'll illustrate that on a later slide. Then after checking the bottles, just count the number of white balls in the hole slot, 0 through 3. Each of those will get 15 points. Count the number of colored balls in the hole slot, 0, 1, or 2. And again, basically they get the points whether or not the putt was valid or invalid. So again, you just count the number of balls for both those lines and just multiply that number by either 15 for the white balls, 18 for the orange balls. So that's the top half of the scoring sheet. In the bottom half of the scoring sheet, here's again where you need to remember, or again, it might be helpful to take notes of this during the round. Basically, the main thing we just need to know really is the number of invalid balls in the hole slot. It doesn't really matter what color, but just how many of them were actually total invalid. And again, each invalid ball then gets a 3-point penalty if it's in the hole slot. Remember, if the ball was invalid but does not in the hole slot, then there's no penalty. It's only for invalid balls in the hole slot. Then also count the number of balls removed from the table. If it's in the hole slot, it has been removed from the table. Or if it's not in the hole slot but removed from the table, it also gets that 1 point. Then check and make sure, of course, watch during the round to make sure the robot stayed intact. Again, if no part was dropped on the table, you'll award 2 points for that. If the team does ask for a full reset, it's a 3-point penalty. And remember, only 1 full reset is allowed. And then the game-ending task is 12 points. It's possible, again, if the teams put all the balls into the hole slot and knock over, move some bottles, they might get over 100 points. So just make sure you then add up all those numbers in that far right column to get the total score. If the total score is 100 or greater, we ask that you record both the time left and the time elapsed in seconds. So again, the time left will be one of our tiebreakers if teams have basically the same total score, and also like the same best score and the same average score of the 2 rounds. And remember, if a violation occurs, the team can either stop the game or request a reset. And remember, only 1 violation is allowed. If a second violation occurs, then the game stops immediately. Okay, so here to check. So again, the initial bottle position. And again, this blue circle here is referring to the projection, not the bottom of the bottle. So for instance, it's possible that the bottles might be a little bit wider, near the center as opposed to the base. So it's going to be the shadow of the bottle, basically, again, that you're going to determine whether or not that has moved outside that black line. So initially it should start completely inside the black circle. For instance, if it's clearly still inside the black circle, you can just say it's not moved. We recommend you at least show us a video of that. In this case here, if it's clearly outside the black circle, then you can declare it moved. These 2 cases here might be at least cases where it's not obvious if the bottle was moved or not moved. In that case there, we recommend that you use a jig. So basically, if you, again, and we recommend like a Lego piece construction like this, basically if the bottle has been moved, if you place a Lego jig, the jig will not touch the black circle on the paper. If the bottle is considered to have not moved, meaning not moved outside the black circle, when you use the jig and line it up with the bottle, the Lego piece should be able to touch the black line. And that's at least one way where you can hopefully try and use that to determine on the cases where it's not totally obvious just from the naked eye, if it was not moved or moved. And of course, finally, if it wasn't knocked over, But of course, if it's obviously completely outside the circle, that would be moved. Okay, robot specifications. Again, I need to make sure you kind of like check this during check-in, and also maybe again before each round in case there's any modifications. The maximum size is 50 by 50 by 50 centimeters. That includes any expansion. So again, the swing of the putter must all be in with that 50 by 50 by 50 centimeter box. There's no initial size requirement, so the robot can be as small as they want it. There's no weight limitation for game. Robots can use any number of sensors or sensor types unless it's harmful to humans. Any number of type of motors or servo motors are okay. Multiplexer is okay. Any material or robot kit may be used to construct the robot, including like tape, glue, bolts and nuts, rubber bands. Basically any material that is not harmful to humans. It's important that each robot have a RoboFest team ID sticker and a name tag on top of the robot. That's required. Also required is a label identifying the front side of the robot. And we'll use that to determine the starting orientation. Again, it's possible that the game ending task may require the display of numbers. So again, each robot should also be equipped with a display screen that is visible by the judges. And for seniors, they are limited to only, actually, I think the one onboard computer controller is only for juniors, I think. So I think actually it's okay for seniors to have more than one, if I recall. Sorry, I didn't catch this when I was proofreading the slides. But I'll double check that in the official rules. But I think that's actually was left over from the junior rules. Okay, wood putter specifications. Again, hopefully, again, all the putters should meet these specifications since, again, these teams should maybe competed in local qualifiers or video qualifiers. But again, the putter should be a United States standard 1x2 unpainted wood piece. We recommend pine wood. Dimensions are shown there over the right. Again, these are in the official rules. The tolerance is approximately plus or minus 1 millimeter. It's okay for the wooden putter to be slightly modified. So again, some teams might need to drill to make holes or sand the putter. But in general, again, the dimensions should be maintained. So for instance, they might need to attach maybe like a metal plate or something to it to help attach it to the robot. It's important that the putter though be designed to hit the ball with the wood part only. So it must be the wood part of the putter that's striking the ball for a valid putt. And only one putter can be used. And the putter must be designed to be operated by one or more actuators. Okay, then after we finish the presentation and take some questions, there will be an opportunity to test your Zoom setup. Or again, the main thing you need to do is be prepared to come early, possibly as early as 6:30 a.m. on Saturday to check your Zoom setup. We'll check your microphone, your camera view and angle, check your video view and angle. We'll verify again that your contact email is correct, since again, we will be emailing those unknown task factors. And again, we'll also try and verify that again, each team is in a separate room, hopefully again, so there's no audio issues with remote sites. Again, today we'll check the Zoom setup after we finish questions. And thank you all for attending this presentation. Again, here's the link where you need to upload your files, the videos, score sheets, and checklist. Again, this link has already been sent out to you, I think, by Shannon Plotis, and she'll also resend that to you as a double check. So this folder here, again, has been shared with the local location head judges already. If there's any issues with uploading any of these files, please send your video. You can send it to Elmer Santos. His email is esantos@ltu.edu. And remember, we're going to be announcing results of the game competition at the ROWC closing ceremony on Saturday, October 17th. And again, we hope this has been a good learning opportunity for everyone, and we encourage you to keep learning. Okay. And so I guess now we will open things up to questions. So again, I know some people were typing things in the chat, so maybe we have some questions already. So we'll maybe start with those.
Sure, I'll go ahead and read the questions from the chat. There was a question regarding the jig, which we've put the ball locator jig. We put the link to the file in the chat. It's also, the link is also on the checklist. So when you print your checklist, you can grab that. Make sure that you print it actual size and verify the measurements. It's a 15 by 13 centimeter image, so please make sure that before you cut it out and use it, that it is actually 13 by 15 centimeters. Another question, the bottle locator templates are also, or are listed on the game page of the robofest.net website. I've also added the link to the chat for those, if you need to print another copy or get a copy that you want to, so it's not wrinkled, or you can print new ones. Again, make sure you print them actual size or 100%. There was a question about the recording time. Elmer, can you kind of go through how we want the recordings to be prepared, what they need to, when they start, when they end, etc.?
Yeah, okay, yeah, the recording, we just want to capture the whole round. So we want to start it basically when Dr. Cartwright gives the 3, 2, 1, go, right, just prior to that. I think we'll try to signal all the sites to turn your videos on. So that's the time to turn it on. And then we just need to capture it to the end. So it needs to capture the end of the run. And then if the bottles looks like they might have been moved, to just walking a little bit closer to the bottles to help verify whether they've been moved.
And if you need to use the jig, you might want to record that as well. If you can't tell if the bottle's been moved, we won't be able to either on the video. So make sure that your jig, the bottle moving, the little Lego jig, if you're using that, kind of keep that in the video too, so we can watch and verify that we agree with the movement of the bottle if it's questionable. Another question about the timing, or do we need to record the time on the score sheet? Basically, my suggestion is record the time regardless, because you might not know if the team has a 100 or better. If the team's doing really well, record the time. If you can tell for sure that the team will not be receiving a perfect score or better, more than 100, then it's not necessary, but it doesn't hurt to have it there. We're not going to penalize you if you add the time, the run time on the score sheet if it's not needed. It's not a big deal. So those are the questions in chat. If anyone has any other questions, if you want to unmute your microphone and just go ahead and ask. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, we're going to check camera angles if you are at the location where you'll be hosting your event. Otherwise, if if you want to take a moment and set that up while we're fielding other questions, I can give you any pointers or make sure that our camera looks good. And
hi, this is Jitender. I just set it up. This is how we're planning to show. I'm not sure you can see it or not.
okay, so your bottles will be towards the couch. Oh, there they are. I can see it now.
Yeah, because
I thought it was going to be on the mat.
Yes.
Okay, so is there any way you can back up just a little?
I have a wall here. That's why I'm just trying.
Yeah.
The end. Okay. This is the.
So will the team be sitting on the sofa during the work time?
The mat's over there, so that way they will be sitting on the ground and then doing their work.
Okay.
That's how I'm thinking.
All right. I guess if you have to choose one end or the other to focus, to keep in the shot, make sure it's the end with the bottles, because the robot start zone, chances are very good once the robot has started, it won't go back into that left side again. But just we want to make sure that we can see the bottles. And then during the video recording, make sure that we can see the bottles again. But yeah, it's.
Can you move the field back to just a few more inches?
Yeah, that's a little
okay.
better.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Probably even more important is the view you get from the actual video device.
Yeah, the recording.
Yeah. No, this is okay.
Yep.
Okay. And the other question, I know the putter has been I don't know, you may see it or not, having this kind of additional parts for the putter is not an issue, right? As long as they hit the ball with the wooden piece of the putter.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you can add items to the putter as long as they don't strike the ball.
Okay. That was a good question from the kids. And
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think we probably all set for the Saturday.
Great. Yeah, we'll go ahead and check this again when we check you in. The early check-in for teams, mainly for the international teams, but if local teams want to check in, it will be online at 6:30 a.m. Because, you know, it is afternoon and evening in some parts of the world. We want to give them a chance to get in and set up. But yes, every team should be online by 8 a.m. to do the final check, and please be ready to check in when you raise. We'll ask you to raise your hand when you're ready,
Okay.
so everyone can you know, just get your team together, get your items together,
Yep.
and so we'll start checking in at 6:30 a.m., which is what, 7:30 p.m. in Korea.
Yeah, I know this is going to be challenging for the other side of the globe. So
Okay, if you're not where you're, that's fine, Hannah. If you're not where you're going to be, we'll check you in Saturday. This was just an opportunity if you had any questions or concerns about the check-in, but you were on the bottle sumo, so it'll be basically the exact same thing. So, yay. Can we hear you? Is your microphone working today? No?
all right, thank you. I will take off here and then
All right.
you
Thank
Saturday.
you, everybody. Yeah, if you don't have any more questions, we can go ahead and end the presentation. We'll see you all Saturday. I'll be sending out the program for Saturday, as well as the slides from this afternoon or this morning's meeting. So you'll probably see a few more emails from me over the next day or so, but we'll see everybody on Saturday.
Can we just check our board before?
Absolutely. Yeah,
That would be great. Just give us one more second. We're just
no
putting it together.
problem. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll stick around.
I just need to see about reversing this. And we're going to be using a cell phone. Oh, sorry, an iPad on the day.
Okay.
But this is, so I'm going to use this iPad to show you. This is the view that you will have on the day.
Okay.
Does that like look?
Yeah.
You can see the team in the back, and then our board's there. And we'll link this particular iPad in on the day so that it's more clear than an iPad on an iPad sort of thing.
Right.
But is there anything else with that you needed to look at or see in particular? I mean, obviously the balls aren't in the right spot right now.
Right. No, that's fine. Yeah, just that looks good. You know, the team will be sitting at that table. I think you said that, but
Sharon, Sharon, can you practice to measure a bottle?
yes. Do you have a scale?
Yeah, sure. Just one second. So I've got one here.
Okay. You could just see one of those bottles, what one of the bottles, and throw it on the scale and see what you get. We're going to do some spot checking during the event.
Yeah, so it'll just give a second there. Can you
Yep.
see that coming through okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So 76.05, so that one needs to be adjusted a bit.
Okay.
Here.
Yep, I can see it.
That's good.
Okay, so we'll go through and we'll adjust them all before because we've just been going through, but if I was to do a different one. You get 75.95, so that's
Yeah,
like,
and yeah, it's really hard to get that 1 gram.
yeah. It's basically
So.
your down milliliter.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else we can do to make Saturday a little bit more like smooth for you?
I can't think of you. I see you're using the dots, and if you're using the jig and the measuring tape.
Yes, I have a measuring tape. I just built a little jig while you guys were going through, and we've got some dots on there, plus some dots we've put on as just like random,
Sure.
like practicing, have the kids put random dots on and stuff. So I think
Okay.
we're good. All right. We just wanted to make sure that was okay.
Yeah, that looks great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any more questions?
Okay. Can you check my table here? And here.
Sharon, you are
Nice.
muted.
Yeah, my phone was ringing, sorry.
Oh, okay, okay.
That looks good.
Looks good?
So let me spotlight the video so I can see a little closer. Yeah, this team will be sitting at the red table there.
Yes.
Okay. And I see that your table's lifted off the floor a bit.
Yes, but the main table, its surface damaged. So there is a piece of wood, but the same dimensions.
I see. Okay. Your whole slot there, it's made out of black foam core. I mean, I don't think there's any advantage or disadvantage to having it a different color than the white, but that looks fine. It's hard to see the slot with the background of that black board on the floor. There's not a distinction there for.
It's okay.
Yeah, what do you think, Elmer?
Yeah, it looks okay. I'm wondering, are the bottles 1 through 4 in the whole slot at the right level relative to the table?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Elmer. Do we have a standard height for the table? You may want to lift that bottle platform up a little bit so that the top of the template is even with, it looks like it is. It looks like it's even, pretty even with the top of the table.
Yes.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah. Okay, I'm good, Elmer. I mean, it just make sure that on the video.
Just make sure they're at the right height.
Yeah.
Just so it's similar
Yeah, make
to
sure.
the rest.
I feel it's slightly higher than standard. So
Well, that's what we're saying. So we think the bottles and whole slots should be a little higher.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
I mean, it looks like the top of that whole slot edge is it even with the top of the table?
yeah, that's the standard.
Or is it lower?
Even?
Yeah, I think his is lower though. So I think that's what we.
So
is that okay or what?
can you tell us if that whole slot, the top of the edge of the whole slot there where the balls are, is that even with the top of the table? Or is it lower than the top edge of the table?
The edges of the hole?
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Yeah, it's too low.
lower. You might want to, yeah, we'll need to raise up maybe another couple of pieces of foam board would even do it.
Okay.
You know, you want to make sure that the top of it's on the, there's an image on the checklist with the instructions that you want to make sure that the top edge of that whole slot wall is even with the top of the table.
Okay.
So if you need to raise up that platform that the bottles are sitting on a little bit, then that would fix the, just put maybe another layer of foam board or something under that bottles, under that black or on top of that platform. I'm having a hard time describing what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's what I see. You're just adding another foam board that would probably help.
Yeah, the lip might need to be bent or cut.
Is it?
Did that raise it up enough so that the side of that wall is even with the top of the table?
Okay.
It's hard to tell.
What do you think? It looks better,
Yeah, I really can't see it though.
but it's really hard. The black foam is hard to.
So it's good.
Can we see the back edge of the table?
Back edge.
Yeah, the back side. Yeah, I just want to see where the whole side's touching the table.
Yes. I will move the lower table because here. Here's the back of the table.
And no, the other edge.
I will need to fix this. Wait.
Okay, yeah, oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's a little hard to tell with the black contrast, but yeah. Yeah, no, that's what we were asking for. Yes, good.
Okay, thanks.
And your bottles are 75 grams, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's need to measure it again.
Yep. Sometimes it evaporates and we find that they need to be refilled after a short, a while that they've been sitting around. So yeah, make sure that you might need to add a little bit of water to each of them to make them 75.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that looks good. I'm glad we went through this today instead of, that's a good, a good height for everything. I understand you had to raise the table up, but you gotta make sure that everything else is good too. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, the RoboFest team's gonna stick around the call for a moment. The rest of you can log off and go about your day. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all Saturday.